Kwame Man from Chicagoland, and this is the Weekend Recap, where we review the violence in Chicago from the previous weekend, where we see which neighborhood or which side of the city got it the worst. And from the Sun-Times Media Wire, Chicago Sun-Times, via ABC7, ABC7Chicago.com, Chicago shootings, 44 shot, 8 fatally in weekend violence across city, police say. At least 44 people have been shot, 8 fatally since Friday evening across Chicago, police said. A 14-year-old boy was critically wounded in a drive-by shooting Sunday night in Hyde Park. Now, Hyde Park is one of the nicer parts of the south side of Chicago. About 8:38 p.m., he was standing outside in the 9400 block of South University Avenue when someone in a vehicle driving by fired gunshots, Chicago police said. Well, I don't know who the hell wrote this article, but the address that they just mentioned is not Hyde Park. Not even close. If it was 5400 South University, then yes, that would be Hyde Park. But the fact that they have 94th and University, that's like the Burnside neighborhood. And that's more towards where I'm from. And no, it's night and day compared to Hyde Park. It's nah. So if this did happen in Burnside, then, you know, that would be more common or more consistent with what happens in that area versus Hyde Park. I'm not saying that violence doesn't happen at Hyde Park. It's just not as common as on 94th and University. The boy was shot in the groin, police said. He was transported to Comer Children's Hospital, where he is listed in critical condition. No arrests were reported. Area detectives are investigating. A 16-year-old boy was fatally shot Sunday afternoon in the Golden Gate neighborhood on the south side, blocks away from where another teen was shot about 45 minutes earlier. Could those shootings be related, retaliation for each other, especially if they were in the same neighborhood, the same vicinity? Let's see what they say. The 16-year-old was near a sidewalk about 4:05 p.m. in the 130-100 block of South St. Lawrence Avenue when he was shot in the chest, Chicago police said. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center where he died, police said. No one is in custody. Area detectives are investigating. About 45 minutes earlier, a 17-year-old boy was shot about 3 blocks away. About 3:20 p.m., the teen was in the 130-200 block of South Langley Avenue when he was shot in the leg, police said. He was taken to a hospital in good condition. Maybe the 16-year-old was shot in retaliation for the 17-year-old, and the 16-year-old got the worst of the conflict, if that is indeed what happened, if those shootings were related. They did happen in the same area. I think that's like the Altgeld Gardens neighborhood, or that's the neighborhood where the Altgeld Gardens projects are. There's a lot of gang activity in that area. A lot of gang activity amongst the shorties in that area. So I wouldn't be surprised if these two shootings are related. 5 people were shot, 1 fatally on the city's south side overnight Sunday, Chicago police said. The shooting happened in the Gresham neighborhood at about 12:20 a.m., police said. Officers responded to a call of multiple shots fired in the 1800 block of West 78th Street, police said. A 19-year-old woman was shot 3 times and died from her injuries, CPD said. The medical examiner's office identified her as Takara Tunstall. Another victim, a 17-year-old girl, is in serious condition at Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn with a gunshot wound to the back, police said. 3 others, including a 17-year-old boy, were shot and taken to nearby hospitals, police said. They are listed in fair condition. 2 of them were shot in the arm and the other in the torso. Other details surrounding the shooting are still unclear, but police believe the offender may have been shooting from a vehicle. No one has been arrested as Area 2 detectives try to sort through the shooting. Hours later, a man was shot to death early Sunday in the Humboldt Park neighborhood. The man, 32, was arguing with someone at about 3:30 a.m. in the 1100 block of North Ridgeway Avenue when he was shot multiple times. He was taken to Stroger Hospital where he later died, police said. The gunman fled the scene. In a non-fatal shooting Sunday, a 17-year-old boy was critically wounded after being shot in the head while driving in the Brighton Park neighborhood. About 3:30 a.m., the boy was heading north in the 4300 block of Southwestern Boulevard when he heard gunfire and felt pain, Chicago police said. He was transported to Schroeder Hospital where he was listed in critical condition. No one was in custody. So a lot of teenagers getting shot. It's crazy. This also happened on the South Side. So it looks like South Side so far has taken the majority of the damage and has experienced the majority of the carnage over the past weekend. About an hour earlier, 2 men were wounded, one of them critically in a shooting in Albany Park. They were both outside about 2:30 a.m. in the 3100 block of West Montrose Avenue when they heard multiple gunshots and felt pain, Chicago police said. So that's the northwest side, not the west side, but, stuff goes down all around the city. It's just more likely that things would either happen on the south side or the west side. So that's a little too far north to be considered what we call the west side of Chicago. The older man, 35, suffered a gunshot wound in the thigh and was transported to Illinois Masonic Medical Center, where he was listed in serious condition. The younger man, 32, was struck in the foot and taken to the same hospital in good condition, police said. No one was in custody. Detectives are investigating. Well, that seems to be a commonality between a lot of these incidents. Nobody in custody. Detectives are investigating. That's all we have here. Early Saturday, a man was found shot to death in North Lawndale. That's the west side. The man, 19, was located with a gunshot wound to the chest about 5:17 a.m. outside the 3900 block of West Fillmore Street, where he was pronounced dead, police said. No arrests were reported. A man was killed and another was wounded in a shooting Saturday morning in the Burnside neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. So that's not too far from where I grew up. I grew up in Chatham. Burnside is the bordering neighborhood just south of Chatham. A 28-year-old man was walking with another man about 6:05 a.m. in the 9400 block of South St. Lawrence Avenue when a person approached them and fired gunshots, Chicago police said. The 28-year-old was shot in the left arm and transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he died, police said. Wow, after getting shot in the arm. The other man, whose age is unknown, was grazed on the left side of his head and refused medical care on the scene, police said. No arrests were reported. Area 2 detectives are investigating. It's like I've read that sentence how many times now? At about 5:05 a.m. Saturday, a woman was shot inside a vehicle on the near north side. The woman, 19, was in the 100 block of West Ohio Street when she heard gunshots and felt pain, police said. She was shot in the back and transported to Northwestern Memorial Hospital in stable condition. No one was arrested. So this shooting pretty much happened in the near Gold Coast area. Like when the near north side, this is very, very close to the Gold Coast. This is very, very close to downtown, just a little north of downtown, but a very well-to-do, affluent area where shootings really aren't supposed to happen as much. And you might say shootings shouldn't happen anywhere, granted, but you don't expect shootings to happen as much in this area. So I'm mentioning this because I did cover in another video that the Chicago police superintendent mentioned how shootings across the city were down, but they were up, downtown. But he was trying to highlight how shootings across the city have decreased, despite shootings having increased in more affluent neighborhoods like downtown Chicago and the Gold Coast and stuff like that. So I really just want to put that into perspective, because even though they might say that shootings are down across the city, we're reading this very article where we see how many shootings are happening in areas outside of downtown, around the south side of Chicago, west side of Chicago. And maybe these shootings aren't happening as frequently as the past, but just from this article alone, you can see that they're way, way, way too frequent as is. 44 shootings in one weekend, 8 fatalities. It's ridiculous. So just keep that in mind. When they say the shootings are up downtown, but they're down across the city, well, look at how many examples we have of shootings happening in the downtown area as compared to areas across the city of Chicago, South Side and West Side. I think in this one article, I've only read about one. We'll see if we read about another one in the near north, downtown, Streeterville, Gold Coast type area. We'll see. Hours later, a teen boy was shot during an attempted robbery Saturday evening in Lawndale on the west side. About 6 p.m., the boy, 17, was walking outside when another male approached him near an alley in the 1100 block of South Pulaski Road and demanded his belongings. The boy said he did not have any belongings on him, and the other male shot him in the leg and fled the scene, police said. The boy was taken to Stroger Hospital in good condition, police said. There was no one in custody. Marquise Pryor, who played basketball at Orr and was a prominent figure in the 2018 Fox Sports documentary Shot in the Dark, was shot and killed on Friday. He had recently opened up a neighborhood store and a salon on 87th, former Orr assistant coach Jamal Ridley said. He had invested a lot in that and had just hired some people last week. Officers responded about 10:45 p.m. to a call of a shooting at the Dan Ryan Woods Forest Preserve and found Pryor, 27, shot multiple times, according to a statement from the Cook County Sheriff's Office. Pryor missed his senior season at Orr in 2012 after he was arrested for gun possession. He played club basketball in the spring of 2012 and eventually played at Lee Junior College in Texas in 2014. So think about this. He was arrested for gun possession in the past, and one can only wonder, with all of these restrictions and all of these policies on people possessing guns, presuming that they're peaceful gun owners, the confiscation of this guy's gun and his gun possession case may have led to him being unprotected during the night that he was killed. The further restrictions on his ability to have a gun after being convicted of gun possession could have led to him being unprotected the night he was killed. So I definitely want people to keep things like that in mind when you have shootings like this. I mean, we don't really know the circumstances behind it, but I'm sure, given his criminal history, he wasn't able to have a gun and most likely did not have one the night he was killed and wasn't able to protect himself. It just makes you wonder, could these liberal policies play a role in circumstances like this where you have presumably law-abiding citizens or presumably peaceful people trying to protect themselves? A 38-year-old man was driving westbound about 10:40 p.m. Friday in the 500 block of West 95th Street in Washington Heights when a man opened gunfire from a sidewalk, Chicago police said. The driver was shot multiple times and transported to Christ Hospital where he died. No arrests were reported. Now, I don't know the circumstances behind this particular shooting, but it just makes you wonder. 95th, especially in that area, is a very busy street. So it doesn't sound like this person was driving down a residential block. Sounds like they were driving down a main thoroughfare. And if you have somebody shooting from the sidewalk of a main thoroughfare where a bunch of cars pass through, it's alarming. About a half hour later, around 11:10 p.m. Friday, a 62-year-old man was fatally shot in Inglewood. He was in a vehicle at a stop sign in the 800 block of West 71st Street when he was shot in the head, police said. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. No one is in custody. In non-fatal attacks, a teenage girl and 2 other people were injured in a shooting about 9 p.m. Friday in East Garfield Park. The 17-year-old, a 20-year-old woman, and a man, 21, were in the 3300 block of West Harrison Street when someone inside a black car fired shots, police said. The teen was shot in the leg and taken to Mount Sinai Hospital in critical condition. The woman was struck in the face and man suffered a gunshot wound to the body. Both were transported to the same hospital in fair condition. No arrests were made. So I don't think I heard about one arrest being made or anybody being in custody in any of these shootings. But to put certain things in perspective, the article goes on to say, last weekend, at least 58 people were shot in Chicago, 8 of them fatally. And this is the type of stuff that, police and city officials will use to say that, shootings are down this week, without telling you that, it's only been, I don't know, maybe 14 fewer shootings, the same amount of homicides this weekend as the past weekend, but there were 14 more shootings last weekend. So I guess shootings are down and there's some improvement. Nah. So we'll see next week. Will the South Side still lead the reports and number of shootings reported, or just the amount of violence? What this article did not mention was a very deadly accident that happened on 70th and Jeffrey on the south side of Chicago. I don't know. It seemed like they were fighting in the street. Just word to the wise. Don't fight in the street. Don't fight at all. But definitely not in the street. You see what could happen. At the time of this recording, I don't believe that they have anybody in custody for this as well. So this happening on the South Side, in addition to the majority of the shootings that we just read in this report happening on the South Side, which showed that the South Side got it the worst this past weekend. But we will see next weekend. Will things get better? Will there be no shootings? Will there be 10 shootings? Will there be no homicides? Who knows? Unlikely, but one can only hope. Till next time, Kwame Man from Chicagoland. Peace and love.